When Ford brought the Bronco back, it was a big deal. It was back since the late 90s, and it was finally here to compete against something like the Jeep Wrangler. The roof comes off, it's got super good off-road chops, and in some cases, it's considered better than a Wrangler. So now we're a few years in, and I'm back with another Ford Bronco to see if this one still holds up as we've gone a few years through its model cycle. Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake, and I'm here with the 2023 Ford Bronco Heritage Edition. So what is the Bronco Heritage Edition? Well, Ford literally leaned into its heritage of this truck and went back to the 1960s for some inspiration, more or less just on colors. So the Heritage package is going to be a visuals package, and it gives you all of the goodies from the Sasquatch package. So it's an easy way to get everything that you would like if you like the color combo that you have. So every Bronco Heritage Edition is going to have this white grille with the red Ford lettering. I super dig it. I think it's really fun. And that is paired to the white roof and some other little accents. So you've got the grille up here, you've got this white tape stripe all the way down the side, vintage Bronco lettering on the fenders, which is so fun. And then you've got the white roof. Now this is the hard top, so it does remove in a few pieces. You've got two panels over the front seats, one big panel over the second row of seats, and then this third section back here, this clamshell, this comes off with some bolts. You need a friend for that, but all the panels you can take off by yourself. Now engine-wise, you can get the Heritage Edition with either the 2.3-liter EcoBoost turbo 4-cylinder, or this one has the 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6. So that is a twin turbo making 330 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. That is substantial. If you get the 4-cylinder, you can also get a 7-speed manual transmission, which I have driven. It is a pretty good package. This one, being the V6, only comes with the corporate 10-speed automatic. Now you also get some unique wheels. These, in this case, are going to be a little different because this is a 2023 Heritage Limited. So this is a sub package that Ford only offered for 23. This one is still kicking around the fleet, so they sent it over, and you can't get this exact package anymore. So the only things that are different are the wheels and the seats about this one. Now with all the Heritage package cars, you're going to get an all-white wheel, which looks really, really cool. These are also a throwback. I like the all-white better. And then we'll talk about the interior in just a second. Now, having the Sasquatch package on here gives you a few nice goodies if you're actually going to off-road this thing. So first up, you've got front and rear lockers, which is a huge deal if you're going to actually off-road it. They are electronically controlled through some buttons on the top of the dash. So you get those lockers, and they are paired to 4.7-to-1 axle gearing on the Dana axles on both front and rear. So really great for off-roading. It's going to be the best setup you can get, or one of the best setups you can get from Ford directly. And then wrapped around these wheels, or the all-white wheels, either way, is going to be a set of 35-inch Goodyear mud-terrain tires. So plenty of capability with the tires. It's a pretty big tire fitted from the factory. You can get bigger still if you step up to a Raptor, but these are going to be just fine. And then they also give you the Bilstein position-sensitive dampers. So the shocks that are on this truck are not considered adaptive shocks. They don't change with the push of a button or anything, but the damping rates do change based on what you're doing with the truck. So in theory, it's a better ride off-road and a better ride on-road. So let's talk Bronco. I haven't driven one of these in a while. I've spent time in them in years past. I drove a Badlands when they first came out, and then I've spent briefly a few minutes with a two-door stick shift, more basic model, but really haven't driven one in a few years. And what's fun is I just got some time in a Jeep Wrangler a few months ago, so that is kind of fresh on the brain. And everything I thought about the Bronco before still holds true, in that this is the preferred convertible off-roader type vehicle for me. I fit in this much better. So first things first, I've got a much better seating position in this than I do the Wrangler. I'm much more comfortable. The seat cushion is longer. There's more support. So generally, I feel a little bit more comfortable. I've also got a little bit wider cabin feel. So again, I've just got a little more room to spread out. Now we're coming up on a very tight turn, and I'm gonna do something that you wouldn't get with a Wrangler with much comfort, and that is take this with a bit of aggression. This is so easy to drive in a somewhat spirited manner, whereas a Wrangler just doesn't have that steering feel. It's got a very different setup, of course, for suspension design up front, and that's where the Bronco really feels like it's in the lead there. Of course, that does come with some compromises off-road. If you're a super serious off-roader, you're gonna know how to get around those, or maybe where this doesn't quite work for you. But I think for 95 or more % of people, even the ones buying these to go pretty far off-road, this is gonna be a very good setup, and it drives nicer on the street. Now, power-wise, this engine feels really strong. It's got plenty of power and torque, of course. It does require premium fuel. You can run it on regular. It will just derate itself by like 5 or so horsepower and 5 or so pound-feet of torque. Not really a big deal, but you don't need the V6. The Turbo 4 is honestly more than enough, but if you like having a little abundance of power and torque on tap, this is, of course, the engine to get. Now, I spent more time off-road than on with the last Bronco that I had back in 2021, so it's been nice to spend time with this one on-road. Now, keeping in mind this one is that Sasquatch package that gives you the mud terrain tires, these are not going to be the best tire for street use, of course. They're going to be a little rougher ride, they're going to be a little louder, a little softer, just kind of everything that is not the best for highway driving, but a lot of people like the look, and if you just want the capability, that's also something that you're gonna have to consider. And with that comes a little bit of acknowledgement that it is loud in here. It is no worse than a Wrangler, but it's also not any better. It's still noisy, especially at highway speed when you get to 60, 65, 70. I mean, you're pushing a brick through the air, and it's a brick with removable fiberglass or plastic roof panels. So it's, you know, it only kind of is what it is. Now, this does have some sound deadening, some headliner sort of material on the roof here. It helps, but it's you know, again, only so good. And then the only other thing to talk about with this particular car simply is how it's held up. It's got 15,000 automotive media miles on it. These cars don't usually stick around for more than a year and about 8 to 10,000 miles, but this is still in the fleet. It is holding up nicely, and you know, everything still feels nice and tight, well screwed together. Of course, it's what you expect out of any new vehicle when it's not the first year vehicle. I mean, you kind of accept a little bit more, have a little more tolerance for some teething pains with a first model year sort of car, but at this point, these are feeling really good. They're feeling well put together, and I just think it's nice to experience one that's got some harder miles on it at some point. But in general, still really like the Bronco. I think it's a very compelling alternative to a Wrangler, and in some cases, I think it is also the better option against a Wrangler. Obviously, everyone's preferences are different, but I do think this feels a little bit more modern, a little bit more cohesive of an effort, and it's far better to drive. I think Jeep is very, very well aware of that. Now, the one thing to think about is Jeep has that 4xe hybrid system where Ford does not. They've really just got the EcoBoost 4-cylinder and V6. So if you want a plug-in hybrid with, you know, the option to drive on full battery and then use it as a hybrid otherwise, that's going to be the Jeep's strongest suit at this point, whereas the Ford is just going to be more traditional gas-only powertrains. But otherwise, this does feel really, really nice. It's easy to use, good visibility, just a very modern take on this type of vehicle. And so that is the 2023 Ford Bronco Heritage Edition. Thank you so much for coming along. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe right here on YouTube. Give us a follow on all the other social medias where you can find us, and maybe some that you can't. And otherwise, be sure to head over to outmotorsports.com. We've got a whole community over there that would love to get to know you, be your new best friends, and we're hosting events both online and in person throughout 2024, both on the street and on the racetrack. So, till next time, stay safe, be well. See you for the next one.